All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown. All three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Scions of Shannara by Terry Brooks. This is book #1 in his Heritage of Shannara 4-book fantasy series. Came out in 1990. Let's talk about the cover first, because you know I love graphic design and cover illustration. It's got a great cover painting by Keith Parkinson, who did a lot of cover paintings in the 90s. I like the font. You know, for the first 7 to 8 or 9 Shannara books, they used the same font for the author's name and the title of the book. I really like that. And then they kind of got away from that in later years. But for these, it's great. I mean, all 4 of the books in the series, they look really cool on the shelf here, because they're using all the same font, the same kind of design. And Keith Parkinson did a great cover for all of the books, as you can see. But this is the one we're talking about. Now, I do have every Shannara book. I've got all of Terry Brooks' novels. I don't know why I'm filming right up next to my face. But anyway, I've got my entire Terry Brooks collection down here on this shelf. And then the other half is up here on that shelf. And I've met Terry Brooks, gosh, a handful of times. And he has signed pretty much most every book of his that he signed them anyway. I've got a great review of The Sword of Shannara, which is book 1 in the series. One of my favorite reviews I've ever did. Terry Brooks, I have a fondness for the Shannara series, or Shannara series, however you say it. Shannara, whatever. But anyway, I have a fondness for this series because The Sword of Shannara was the first ever book that I ever bought as a youngster of my own volition with my own money. It was the book that started my love for reading and my love for writing and everything that is great in my life at this moment I owe to The Sword of Shannara. But anyway, we're talking about the Heritage of Shannara here. Another thing I noticed about this book was that when I first bought it, a long time ago, I used to write down in every book that I bought the exact bookstore that I bought it from and where that bookstore was. What's crazy is I'd forgotten, but this one I bought in Walden Books in Hamden, Connecticut, of all places. When I lived in New Haven for a year and a half or so, and it's clearly during that time when I was in New Haven, that's when I bought this book. And that was in 1990 when it first came out. But anyway, let's get to the review. So, the beginning of the book, we've got a character named Al-Anon, who is a druid from a long time ago. He was the main character in the first 3 novels, the first 4 novels, really. First King of Shannara, Sword of Shannara, Wish Song of Shannara, Elfstones of Shannara. So it was the main kind of Gandalf-like figure in those books. But he's long dead. This book takes place like some 300 years after that stuff happened. And so, but he's still kind of like this shade, this ghost, this person, like this Obi-Wan Kenobi figure that sort of shows up in his ghost form every now and then to guide our characters around. But anyway, it opens up with Al-Anon. He summoned an old man and he summoned this guy and he says, hey, you need to gather the Shannara children together. The boy, the girl, and the dark uncle. You need to gather them together because the land is once again doomed to destruction unless we find some magical talismans and things like this. And so the old man goes out on this quest at the behest of Al-Anon to find the Shannara children, the boy, the girl, and the dark uncle. Well, Par Ohmsford and Cole Ohmsford are young men. They're bards. They're traveling minstrels. They're, traveling about singing their songs in different inns and villages and taverns and saloons and honky tonks all across the Shannara land. And anyway, that's what they're doing. But they're also being chased by these creatures called Seekers, who are sniffing out magic. Because in this book and in this series, magic is something you don't want to be a part of. In fact, the elves, who are magical creatures, has somehow disappeared from the land. They are no longer around. But anyway, Par and Cole Ohmsford are being chased by these Seekers. We find out that Par Ohmsford is magical himself. He possesses the wish song, which is not good. That's why he's always getting sniffed out by the Seekers, and they're always being chased. And he is the boy, Shannara, that they're looking at. Cole is not. I mean, Cole is kind of like the stocky, sort of Samwise Gamgee of the group, and Par is kind of like the Frodo of the brothers. And anyway, but Cole is not prophesied to be anything. Par is the one. And there's this thing called the Federation, which is the government of the land, and they've taken over everything. They're turning the land into a bad place, and that's kind of the. But Alanon knows that there needs to be a quest to find some magic talismans to save the world from this evil. And so he sent this group. And then there's a group of 9. It boils down to there's a group of 9 adventurers, kind of like similar to the Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. We've got 9 adventurers. I think even in the Sword of Shannara, there was like 9 adventurers. And, well, hell, in my books, there's 9 adventurers. Anyway, but the 9 adventurers, of course, are Colgine, who is the old man. He's a druid, and Par is the boy Ohmsford that needs to be found, and his brother Cole. There's 3, and then we get Wren, who is the girl Ohmsford. She is a half elf Ohmsford, and she is the 4th group, and she's also a rover. And then we've got Walker Bow, who is the Dark Uncle, and he is kind of charged in this whole Fellowship of 9 to bring back the magic of the Druids. And then we've got Morgan Lay, number 6. He is, of course, of the House of Lay, Leah, which has been in all the books. And then we've got Steph, the dwarf, Teal, the dwarf. That's 8. And then the last one is Garth, the mute companion of the half-elf Wren. And those are the 9 that are tasked with finding a magic talisman to save the world from the evil. And what is the magic talisman that they have to find? The Lost Sword of Shannara. Which is cool, because I love all the books in the Shannara series that deal with the sword, and there's quite a few of them. It's my favorite talisman of all the Shannara talismans. I like it more than the Elf Stones of Shannara. I like it more than the Wish Song of Shannara. I like it more than the Black Elf Stone of Shannara. I like it more than a lot of the different Shannara talismans. The sword of Shannara is the greatest, and these guys have to go find it. And it takes them 4 books to do all that through many adventures, and this is book number 1 in the 4 books. I loved it. I loved rereading this. It took me way back. I mean, I read it once back in the 1990 when I bought it in Hamden, Connecticut, of all places, from the Walden Books there. Maybe some people out there are watching this that are from that area and they remember where that was. I mean, I'm sure it's been bulldozed up a long time ago, because there are no more Walden Books, and there haven't been for a long time. And anyway, what was I saying? Oh, this is great. I loved rereading this. I'd forgotten. Here's the thing is I'd forgotten most of it, but it's one of those books that as I was rereading it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. And that's, when 1990, what year is it now? 2000. This is the first book review I'm doing in the year 2025. Very first book review in 2025. What the fuck is the math on that? 1990, 2000, 2010 to this. Is that 35 years? Oh my God, I should just kill myself. We'll edit all this out. Oh, Lord have mercy. I bought this thing years ago. Seems like I remember buying it. Like it was yesterday. Okay. This is a great book. I give this a solid 8 out of 10 stars. 8 out of 10. And we're going to be reviewing these books pretty quick because I want to try to get them all read and reviewed within a month's time. So anyway, there you go.